Trying to figure out how to hold this up.
All right. Welcome everybody who is joining us now on X or on YouTube. This is Geoff Grammer with the Albuquerque Journal, and this is one of our kind of new testing out some of these new live podcast broadcasts during the week. And for my purposes, we've been doing football, but for my purposes, I'm the Lobo basketball beat writer. So it was time to get some hoops going, and I'm joined today by UNM Lobo men's associate head coach Isaac Chu, who's in his fourth year with the team. Isaac, Coach Chu, how you doing?
Doing well. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good, man. Tell the readers, or I guess they're not readers. I'm used to calling them readers. Tell the viewers where you're at and kind of what you're doing where you are right now.
I am in Corona, California right now, doing a little recruiting, doing some little relationship development, and just trying to keep the Lobos help keep the Lobos headed in the right direction.
I'm curious how much of your job in recruiting, people think of recruiting as going to get. You go get the player, and that's all people think about with recruiting. How much of your recruiting happens even after you get a commitment and before the kid gets on campus and things like that? What are you guys still doing with players who have maybe already given a verbal? I'm not asking you for any specifics or anything on players, but I'm curious for people that don't understand what recruiting means. Like, the process is long, but and it also doesn't end once you get the commitment, does it?
No, it doesn't. It's an ongoing process. Recruiting is basically 24/7, 365 days out of the year. I think that one of the things that Coach Patino always stresses is that we have to always maintain our relationships, and we can't take for granted the guys that are a part of our program and the guys that have recently committed to our program. So we try to be present in their lives as often as we can be, going to their games throughout the year, constantly trying to stay in touch with the parents or whoever, AAU coaches, high school coaches, whomever that played a part in that player's decision to be a Lobo. We try to maintain that relationship, even when they're on campus. In terms of guys that are currently on our team, we try to maintain that relationship throughout the process in order to, you know, keep the good players that we do have.
I know that it's stepped up in recent years, but transferring has been a part of the game and the recruiting game for quite a while. But it's certainly taken on a new life in recent years. How has that changed your relationship with recruiting, or your approach to recruiting in terms of guys you don't get? Obviously, once a kid commits somewhere, you back off a little bit. You're not still trying to get him. There's some of that, but you also don't want to burn a bridge either. I mean, there are. I think I heard the term before. Boomerang recruiting, where you may recruit a kid and he may go somewhere else, but then he may come back to you eventually, right? That's part of the game now. So is that changed at all, or has that always been the same in how you treat a kid that you don't get?
I think for me, it's the same in terms of because I believe relationships still matter. There are other factors now that play a part in the kid going to a certain school or not. But I don't believe in, if we miss on a kid, that we should ever act the wrong way in terms
Yeah.
of upset and express some form of anger. It's life. It happens. Kids are going to make decisions that they think that's best for them during that time. But I think all you can do is show that you have that if your relationship was genuine, that if it was genuine, then you should have an opportunity to, continue that relationship regardless of what happens down the road. And so I've done that throughout my career. I've been fortunate to have some guys that didn't go to the school that I was at, but still have a relationship with their families or even the kid. So I just think that's important, especially in today's culture.
And there's two parts of that, right? I mean, there is the small chance that maybe that kid comes back and plays for you at some point as a transfer, but also their networks and their circles. I mean, word gets out. This is a word of mouth kind of game, and it, you treat a player bad, people are going to hear about it pretty quickly, and if not from the player, from mom and dad, that they'll spread
No
the word
question.
pretty quick about how their son was treated.
Yeah, no, that it all comes back to you, especially now with social media.
Yeah,
It's even more, um, it's even more prevalent now
yeah,
with social. There's so many other access to information that you have to be very careful on what you do and what you say and how you treat people. And some people don't care and some people do. So it's just a matter of how you handle yourself to maintain said relationships and saying and doing the right things.
Let me ask you one more generic kind of recruiting question. You guys get two or three, I'll just throw out some generic numbers, two or three prep recruits a year. You get two or three transfers now. That number may be higher than it's ever been, right? But like, that's what you guys get. In terms of what you offer and in terms of what you actually recruit, like the number grows. I'm curious, in general, how does it start? Or are there 100 kids you guys are looking at, and then you start narrowing it down to we may offer 25 or 30 of them at some point of the process, and then we end up getting just two or three? Like, what are the numbers we're talking about? And I know you're the one who kind of spearheads at least the front end of all the recruiting, it sounds like. And I'm curious, are you guys, for the class of, let's go a year down the road, for the class of 2026, will there be 100 kids or even more that you guys kind of put on a board or a list at some point?
Well, I wouldn't. First of all, our entire staff does an unbelievable job in
Yeah,
terms of identifying players that we feel that fit, UNM. Now, how we go through that process and how we go through in terms of streamlining what's best for us in terms of what our roster currently looks like or what we anticipate our roster looking like. And so that number can start, we're not going to start with 100 kids. We may start with, you know, 30, 40, sometimes 30. And then that number can, by the time that it's time to start to really dive into recruiting guys, I would say that July, that August period where you trying to get guys on campus, when school starts, that number can go down to, this year was a larger number. So, that could be, 10 guys. Some years it can be two guys, some years it can be four guys. It's just a matter of what you need in that moment and what fits in your program. I think every year is different because your needs change.
sure.
And also, you know, you may rather take a chance on going after a player that you think, say, is above your level and just taking a chance on getting the best player possible. And that may, mean you may spend more time on that person and you pass on a kid that you think maybe will be average for your program. So again, every year is different. We always want to try to sign the best players, the best character, and the best fit for our program. So it's a year to year basis. It's not even year to year. It's really from semester to semester based on with the portal now. All that's changed.
You kind of touched on it there at the end. Now I'm going to bring in, as we're hitting on some of these topics, some of these questions from viewers. It says here from Dre US, um, what does that mean exactly? Fits UNM. When you're talking about what fits UNM, obviously there's the basketball standpoint. You may need a center, you may need a point guard or something like that. But what are the other things, if there's a couple bullet points that need to be consistent with pretty much everybody you go after? They better check off these 2-3 boxes.
So since we've been here, since Coach Tino's been the head coach, we have really tried to establish a character piece more than anything. And when I say fit UNM, it fits the blueprint of what we've done in terms to rebuild, to help rebuild the program in terms of character first. And we really want guys that love basketball and love to be in the gym, that would rather spend their free time becoming to get better on a day-to-day basis. And so obviously we want guys that are really talented. That's always important. But we really try to focus on the character piece and the work ethic piece because we want guys that want.
Looks like we just dropped with Coach there. I will get Coach Two back on here in a second. I do have some of your other reader questions here. Oh, there he is. You back there, Chu? Can you hear me?
Yes,
All right, yeah.
yes.
Dropped you just for a second, but the character piece, you were kind of wrapping up with the character piece. When you look for guys that want to be in the gym and stuff like that, how do you figure that out? Because it's an easy answer for a coach or a mom or a dad or a player to say, I love being in the gym. Are there ways to sort of vet that a little bit?
Well, yeah, I mean, I think, and I also left out the toughness piece because toughness is very
Sure.
important to us. But I think you find out by spending time, by having the right conversations with the people around them. You talk to the people that are around them the most, like the high school coach, AU coach, or whoever that is, the trainer, whoever that is that knows who that kid is to the core. And if you've been doing it long enough, you know guys that want to work. And I think we don't have to chase our current team to get in the gym. We don't have to, entice them, anything like that. Those guys they want to be better players, so they're always in the gym. They always, want to get up extra shots. They're doing the things that are necessary to become really good players and we want to kind of continue to establish a championship culture.
Here are related to recruiting questions, so I'm going to just throw those on here, and you can handle them as you see fit. One of them has a separate part to it as well, so I'm gonna throw this out there. JB is asking, has or will in the future the conference breakup and all that's going on with conference realignment? We do have another question that I'll combine with this one. How does conference realignment, what are your thoughts on that? How has that affected recruiting so far? Has it even come up so far, or is it just too early for recruits and their families to really be asking you guys right now, what's the future of all this conference stuff that's going on?
You know, it hasn't come up as often right now. Um, will it affect recruiting? I think that if as long as we continue to get the support that we have received since being here at UNM, I think that it won't affect us at all. Whatever conference we're in, we just want to be one of the best schools in that conference. We want to be one of the top, one, two, three in that conference. We can continue to do that, then we'll continue to recruit at a high level. I think we don't we're working as if it doesn't matter what conference we're in. We're trying to win championships no
Sure.
matter who we play against. And that's the mindset. We want to sign the best players that fit UNM possible to win championships. And that doesn't matter what conference we're in.
And there is a blueprint where you can be a basketball first school. That's not to pit basketball against football, but the reality in the room right now is that football drives the bus and Lobo football is on the rebuild, right? And I'm not saying anything that's controversial or questionable. Everyone agrees with that. Bronco Mendenhall agrees with that. Lobo basketball has proven it can succeed without that other component. It sure would be nice to get them all on the same page and help the whole university. But you guys have shown that you guys can stand alone if need be. Not that that's a preference, but I will ask this: Are you Or Jimmy H asks this rather. Forever Lobos on YouTube is asking: Are we expecting any more high school commits, or will it all be transfers from here? Have you guys closed the door on class of 2025 freshmen, or is there still a chance some of them could come in?
We have not closed the door on signing more
High
high
school
school
kids,
teams.
yeah.
Yep, yep.
The does that include? Well, I guess I'll ask this: Is junior college something that you guys pursue regularly? There have been, I guess, if I'm not mistaken, is KJ Jenkins maybe the only one who has come through since you've been here that's junior college, or am
Uh,
I forgetting?
J. Allen Tovar.
And Tovar, okay. Do you how often do you guys hit the junior college ranks? Is it just coincidence that you guys haven't had a whole lot? I know it's something you're open to if it's the right fit, but we haven't seen a lot of junior college transfers.
Well, we want to recruit. We explore all avenues for good players. And so if it's junior college, high school, prep school, transfer portal, international, we've tried to exhaust every possible opportunity for us to get better. So we've never taken junior college off the table. We did, KJ was here and he did play, was junior college transfer, and so was Jay Allen Tovar. At the time, we were not able to go out, so a lot of that happened via Zoom.
Yeah.
So, but we are always exploring all those opportunities on a consistent and day-to-day basis.
All right, the topic of the day in college athletics, and we got two of them here. How does 505 Sports Venture Foundation play a role in recruiting? There's another question here along those same lines, so I'll ask it too. That one was from Adam Cabrera, who was asking that, and then Jet, and that's on X. And Jet Metcalf has a similar question on YouTube. When does NIL and 505 Sports Venture Foundation come into play for recruitment? And do you hand them off, or they come in sooner? The NIL question: what role, like how do you handle that when a recruit asks about it, or whatever? What's the role of the coaching staff with NIL, which is just kind of an ever-changing, we're still learning as we go kind of landscape for you guys?
First of all, NIL is one of the most things, important entities in our program. I think that with the changing landscape of recruiting and how college athletics has gone, we need to continue to have support in that area, uh, more than ever before. It plays a huge part in what happens. It is not the sole reason a kid picks a certain school, but it is a huge factor. And we have been fortunate that 505 has done an unbelievable job of supporting us throughout this time, and we try to continue that relationship, um, with, like I said, with the continued support that we've gotten from them. Um,
I was talking to Kurt earlier. You guys, UNM got lucky with the guy who not only has a law degree but had the, I guess, time and willingness and understanding on how to tackle something like that. So I'm not trying to feed Kurt's head and ego anymore right now, but you guys were pretty lucky with a guy like that in place at UNM.
Coach has said it. Coach Patino has said it several times before. I'll say it. Kurt Roth has been a godsend to us, because he was a lawyer. He was ahead of the curve in terms of getting us off the ground, sooner rather than later. And he was you know, very strategic in his approach, and he's been very, like I say, he's been very helpful in our journey through this. And so we wouldn't a lot of what has happened and transpired in terms of would not have happened without his support.
He's funny about it too, because he is at his core, he is just a Lobo fan and he just wants to see the Lobos do really good at the core, but he also
That's all.
likes getting involved in, and he likes walking around shaking the hands a little bit too. He's getting into that a little more. So and for those that don't know Kurt, he is he it, with the Brooklyn accent, he is very New Mexico to the core. Other than that Brooklyn accent, which
He
is
is. He loves his green chili. He
he
loves his
does.
green chili.
It certainly does. All right, got some more player specific kind of questions here that I'm going to throw to you. One here on X. Marty P. Sorari, I think is how you say your last name. Sorer. Coach, tell us about Jovan. Jovan, kid is a unit. Anything you can tell us about Jovan, one of the freshmen in this year's class? It's on this year's roster. How's he coming along, and what can you tell fans about him?
Jovan's, first of all, is an unbelievable kid. He's a extremely hard worker. Does everything we've asked him to do. He's really changed his body. He lost 20 plus pounds when he got to campus. He's been committed to it. He's going to add some versatility to our front court. His ability to shoot the basketball. He has a high basketball IQ. I think he's buying into what we've asked him to do in terms from the defensive end. And some of it is a natural freshman learning curve. But he's picked up things he has had a positive attitude, with everything around him. So we're expecting him to be, a huge part of our program.
These are now I'm going to give you a couple questions here that were sort of sent in before the show started. This is two questions. I'm going to ask you the first one, first, and I'll read it to you. Who is this is from Dean Zenisik. Who is the Lobos' best under the radar player and why? I'll preface this with under the radar can mean a lot of things, right? Like last year, I would say the best under the radar player ended up being JT Toppin because a year ago at this time, most people didn't know who JT Toppin was. I would say that qualifies certainly as under the radar. But an under the radar guy could be your six man or a guy off the bench as well too. So you can go anywhere you want with this. Is there anyone under the radar that maybe isn't getting a ton of attention or you haven't heard or seen on social media or fans or me or the media talk about that you think is going to have a pretty key part on this year's roster?
I think we have a great group of guys in terms of depth. From we can play a ton of guys.
Yeah.
But I do think that Sacco has done a great job in terms of he's an everyday guy. His energy, his relentless effort, his toughness are things that we've been really pleased with thus far. And I think he's going to add some toughness to our front court, which will be needed.
He's obviously he transferred from I'm trying to remember, was it Georgia Tech?
Georgia Tech.
Yeah,
Georgia
Georgia
Tech.
Tech. I was going to say Vanderbilt for some reason, but Georgia Tech, and he for people that don't know, he's the strongest guy on the team too, and he's a linebacker wearing a basketball uniform. He's a big guy. He's not going to get pushed around too much, I don't think.
No, he's physical. Like he brings physicality. We
Yeah.
talked about toughness early on, and that's very important for us. I think he brings some of that aspect to us.
There's a second piece to this, and it is an interesting one. How you guys handle this in the locker room and as coaches. This second question from Dean is: we've heard a lot about. Is it Deanne? I apologize. We've heard a lot about how social media can potentially negatively impact players. Thoughts on ways social media can have a positive impact from a coaching perspective. We've heard Coach Pitino talk about social media. He hates it, but he's funny on it too. He's on it. He says he hates it. It is sort of an instant gratification, but also an instant criticism sort of mechanism that is what it is. It's not going anywhere. So I'm curious how you guys approach it. Is your preference they just never look at it, or is your preference that they're going to look at it, so you're trying to handle it a certain way?
I think a lot of it's about you can't read everything, and you can't absorb everything. So you have to understand that we try to tell our guys when things are good, people are gonna say good things about you. When things are bad, people are gonna say bad things about you. That's a part of life that is a life lesson that our guys are consistently trying to navigate through. But I think there could be a lot of positives using social media. I mean, Coach does a good job of taking, before practice, he'll often find clips that are motivational at times from social media. He'll also find some clips of examples of what not to do
Yeah.
in certain situations, and he'll show them of what say may have happened with another player, NFL player, Major League Baseball player, whatever it is, NBA player, that may have something negative may have happened, and what's the teaching point, what's the learning, the teaching point behind that. So Coach tries to have a balance of what he shows them, good and bad, and I think that's the best way in terms of for them to look at it as well. That everything you see on social media isn't going to be good, and everything on social media isn't going to be bad. It's about trying to find that balance and understanding what you should read and what you should absorb.
Quick one here. I don't even know if you know the answer to this, but I'll ask it anyway. Jazz asks, when are the returning players going to receive their Mountain West Championship rings? Are you guys going to get some tournament rings? Do you know? Is that in the
Uh,
works?
we will get rings, but when those will be handed out, that's the Coach Patino question.
That is beyond you, huh? You
Yes,
know,
that's out beyond my purview.
Jimmy H on let me remove that one on YouTube asked while you were talking about Sacco, is Bronco trying to steal Sacco from the basketball team?
Not that we know of.
He could fit the part though, couldn't he? Like he probably could fit that part.
He is built different. Yes, he could.
Another one from Dre, US. Tell us about the competition amongst the team. Who makes who better? Has to be insane. I know I was always interested in how annoying it must have been every day in practice. I saw opposing teams get so annoyed by Jalen House over the last few years that I was thinking in practice it must have been annoying for guys to have to go against him. They probably got used to it and just learned how to either tune him out when need be or not. But he was also a very good teammate. So I'm curious though, is there anybody in practice that is just a that dog in practice that nobody likes going up against, or how much is this about just iron sharpening iron, and they're really getting better because there's one or two guys that in practice really make sure everyone else gets better?
I think as a team, we have really good competitive balance. I think this is probably the deepest we've been since we've been here. Coach Patino says that a lot. And I think we have a lot of guys that compete every day against one another. Like, every day somebody can have a bad day. Every day, another guy can have a good day. But our competition amongst our 16 guys is really high level. So, it's hard to pick one guy, but I think because we have competition in literally every position.
Got along those same lines here. I'm going to go to a question that came in before the show about depth. Let me take this one off the screen. D. Vander asked 13 scholarship guys. Obviously, he won't. Obviously, you can't tell us who are going to be the 9-man rotation, but do they feel confident about a rotation, or is it still up in the air? Basically, who are the last few rotation guys? We know we have Donnie, True, Nelly, and then he goes on to list a bunch of them. But what are maybe some of the rotation guys off the bench that people maybe will be looking at to every year? Everyone wonders why somebody's not getting more minutes, and there's only so many minutes to go around. So I guess this is just sort of a follow up to that depth question. How deep do you think you guys actually can go this year?
I think, depending on the game and the circumstances, I mean, I think we've got 10, 11 guys that can play.
Yeah.
But, will we play those? Will coach choose to play those guys all the time? We don't know. It depends on the game. So it's hard to say what our rotation will look like today because, it's October 2nd. You know what I mean? We're still in the thick of trying to, still learn our team, still trying to figure out who does what well, who doesn't, do certain things, who does what better than someone else. So it's still a work in progress, but we're happy with the group we have, and we do like the level of competition and how they're pushing each other every day.
All right, as we kind of wrap this up here, I will got two more quick questions here. Um, this one has a specific player, but it's also about the bench. The question is Quentin going to make an impact this year? Do they plan to have a deeper bench so they don't have a drop off in February? To that, I'll point out, like, you guys were pretty deep last year too. Any drop off in February, I don't know if it was about a bench or rotation or anything. It may have been, but I will point out too that you guys ran through the tournament in March better than any other Mountain West team. So you guys had some legs then. A lot of that had to do with one player in particular just getting crazy good that week, Jalen House. But like, you guys had your legs in March. But the question is, Quentin specifically, is he going to make an impact? And do you guys have a pretty deep bench that you don't think fatigue late in the season will be a factor?
Well, I think Quentin has made great strides, and he's again competing for minutes just along with some of those other guys. But I think he's really vastly improved since he's been here, and this is his third year in the program. So he's done a great job of, again, being an everyday guy and really improving. So he's in the fight with the rest of those guys for some of those minutes. So, again, we haven't decided any of that to this point. And I know in terms of as the year goes on, I think everybody goes through a lot of school teams go through some lulls here and there, fatigue or what have you. But I think that we have shown that we can bounce back and things of that nature, and just try to continue to get better. That's our biggest thing, is that every day we practice, every day we approach it. We just want our guys to get better, and we want to be better when the time matters the most, and that's when the season starts, and can progressively get better, as the latter part of conference as well.
I suppose when you guys talk about a progress or a process, it would be silly to know or have an idea what the end product is right now, right? I mean, it's not what you guys are wanting out of this. You guys would rather see each player grow at not at a different pace necessarily, but like you don't want this to be the end product in October anyway.
No, we do not. We hope it's not.
All right. Last one from before the show, and this is a two questions in it. How are the bigs coming along, and your thoughts on conference realignment? That's sort of, we kind of touched on it earlier. It's sort of we don't know yet, right? But how are the bigs coming along? What can you say about your big men?
I think they're all improving. The biggest thing is I think they all, again, push each other. I think what Atiki has brought to Nelly has made Nelly better, and I think what Nelly brings to Atiki makes him better. I think what Sacco brings makes Mustafa or Yovan better. I think there's Daniel Thomas, another young freshman that we have, that we think that he has a chance to be good. But I think the day-to-day competition amongst those guys makes each other better, because Atiki allows Nelly to score over length, you know what I'm saying, and physicality, you know what I mean? So, Mustafa's a different kind of front court player, so you have to guard him differently than you would a normal low post player. So I think that they're all getting better. I think they've made huge strides since the spring and summer, and so we're really happy with the direction they're all going.
Last one here on the in the show here that somebody just sent in from this is from YouTube from R Thompson 1050. Who are the best shooters on the team? I know you're gonna. That's something that's just gonna upset somebody if you answer. But who are the best shooters? We'll ask it anyway. We don't care. We'll let you get in trouble. Who are the best shooters on this team?
I'm not going down that road. Some guys shoot it better than others. Some guys have better days than others. So I'm gonna leave it at that.
Let me
We
ask
have
you this: Who's the best coach shooter? Who's the best shooter amongst the coaches?
Aaron Katsum would tell you him, but he would tell everybody that. But again, I would say less and do more. So I'm not answering that one either. I'm gonna say either Coach Patino or Coach Dave.
Okay, okay. How much do you still shoot?
A little bit, here and there before practice, a little bit or before I work out a guy, but not a lot.
All right.
Not a lot. I'm past those days. I'm not enthralled with it anymore.
Who's for people that don't know, they know the names of the coaches and the staff, right? There's somebody who kind of runs the show over there that I don't think a lot of people know her name, but a little shout out to Peyton and how much she runs the show. And where would you guys be without Peyton right now?
We would be in a whole lot of trouble. Peyton Stevens was literally sent from God. She is a salt of the earth human being, unbelievable personality, always has joy. I've known Peyton for a very long time. Peyton used to babysit for me when I was at Texas A&M. So I've known her a long time. She's really grown in the position since she got here. She's kind of carved out her own niche, and she basically runs our program from top to bottom. So she's got a great relationship with the guys. She has a great balance with them. She's kind of got that mother hen, but she's kind of like cool enough and young enough to kind of still be their
Yeah, she's
friend.
right in that
So
sweet spot between, like you
yeah,
said, mother hen and still young enough where can
so
relate with them still.
yeah, she's
Oh.
done it. She, like I said, we wouldn't be where we are without Peyton.
If she's watching this right now live, or if she's going to watch it later when it's on, she is probably so mad right now that we're talking about her too.
She's probably turning beet red in the face. So
Coach, you got recruiting to do. You're out on the road right now. When does that end, by the way? When do you? I guess all through the season. It goes all year round now, pretty much. It's
it
the
does.
calendar jumps around with some dead periods, but it's year round that you're hitting the road, right?
24/7, 365. Recruiting never stops. Either if you're not on the road, you're on the phone.
Um, what as we sign off here, what can fans expect from this year's team? I know obviously the hallmarks are there. You're going to try hard, you're going to work hard, you're going to be tough. This probably won't be quite as quick a team overall, fast up and down, quite without Jalen on the floor, but maybe bigger. I couple times I've been able to see you guys. I think you can hang your hat on defense if you want. There might be a couple spots in the roster where the defense might not be as up to snuff as maybe some of the backups as I kind of in my mind project. I know you guys don't have a starting five yet, but if you guys want to, you guys got some guys that can be defensive pretty good, I would say. What do you think people are going to see that's a little different about this year's team?
One, we are drastically bigger. But we are still going to try to play fast. That's been our hallmark. We want to play fast, want to play with pace, and we want to play with physicality. Defensively, we want to be disruptive. We want to cause turnovers, block shots, and cause havoc. So we still want to have the same cultural approach to what this team looks like. We're just going to be bigger, and so a lot more physical. And that was our goal going into the season.
All right, Coach. I appreciate it. Since you are on the road, I will throw this one that just popped up. And this is another one like the best shooter question that there's no way you're really going to give a full answer here, but I'll throw it in anyway. Nick Chaw on YouTube asked a weird question, but what is Coach's favorite place to recruit? Maybe a state that he came up for recruiting or on the come up for recruiting. Do you have a favorite place or do you have a central place that you've sort of focused on through your career?
If you look throughout my career, I've literally recruited across the country. I've worked at the high major level for a long time in my career. I've been in every high major league, um, other than the Pac-12. But so I've recruited every coast. So I don't really know if I have a favorite place to recruit. I just want to go where we have relationships and I can find good players. That's kind of how I've always approached it. And I've been fortunate to maintain some relationships throughout the years that has allowed me to have some footprints in some different states. Now we've tried to do a good job at here in terms of recruiting high school kids out of Texas, California, and Arizona, because of the proximity to University of New Mexico.
Sure.
So, but we have, like I said, we've done international. We've done whatever it's taken to get good players. So and that won't stop. So I don't know if I have a favorite place, but I have some favorite place I like in general, not just for recruiting.
Coach, I appreciate it. We were at 2:05. I told you about 30 minutes, and it's been 35. So I appreciate your time. You got work to do. I know we got a season ahead, and in this town, people even in October want to hear stuff like this. So much appreciation to you for taking the time to answer some reader questions and taking the time to do this, Coach. Good luck on the recruiting trail.
All right, man. Appreciate you.
Appreciate you too, man. Thanks. And thank you all for the readers and the viewers for sending in your questions. And we'll try and do one of these every week if we can with somebody. We'll do a basketball related one every week as possible or as best I can. And hopefully we're also doing one after every Monday. We do one with Sean Ryder, the Lobo football reporter for the Journal. After Bronco Mendenhall does his weekly press conference, we also do a post-game show after every Lobo football game. Sean and I do. So we're doing those. Keep looking for them here on X or on the Journal's YouTube page. While it's live, you can send us our questions or your questions or comments there. And as best we can, I'll also try and incorporate some of the questions that just come in on social media outside of the show's parameters, as I did some today. But there you go. I'm going to start incorporating a little bit more basketball into some of these shows. I'll also have, as best I can, every week or two, Talking Grammar, actual sit-down interview with somebody, podcast like I do. And season's right around the corner. First week in November is the home opener against Nicholls State. News came out just earlier today. The St. John's game, that's November 17th at Madison Square Garden in New York, now has a time and channel. It is on FS1 for those that can't, make the easy trip from New Mexico out to New York. It will be on FS1. It will be at noon Eastern time, noon local there in New York, 10 a.m. here, obviously, in Albuquerque in New Mexico. So that's some of the news that came out today. Other news, I did see Tony Snell. I forget what team he is on. He's with the Miami Heat's G League team, former Lobo. If he can get on a roster and play at least 50% of the season, he gets his 10th year of service, which is huge in terms of he then gets the benefits that he has. After 3 years, he gets his benefits for life as an NBA player. After 10 years, his whole family gets them. Sioux City Skyhawks is what I'm seeing here in the chat here. So I appreciate that. I appreciate it, everybody, for tuning in and sending us your questions. And I see some thanks to Coach Chu. I will certainly express or relay to him that a lot of you guys are saying thank you to this. So much appreciation. Until next time, thanks for watching. And like I said, look for more of these coming this whole season. Again, thanks for watching.